The problem with these third-party resin figure companies is that most of the time the customer always loses. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven. Today with a topic which I have never discussed with you guys before, something related to anime figures, of course. Normally this channel is mostly about reviewing anime scale figures, genuine and licensed ones coming out of Japan or China. And then there is my weekly figure news as well as the occasional figure photography content. However, there has also that few rare occasions where we took a look at bootleg figures that were kind of interesting, but yeah, those were rare and few in between. Today's topic is about third-party unlicensed anime figures coming out of China and Hong Kong mainly. You know those XXYYZZ studios making their own anime figures, and these figures, they are kind of like garage kits, but calling them garage kits, while technically not incorrect, can be misleading because they are pre-painted and they are completed straight out of box ready to be displayed. Garage kits or GKs, yeah, they are normally associated with figures which are unpainted, white color, straight out of box, and they are made of resin. These figures, they are also made of resin with the exception that they are completed figures. We call them third-party unlicensed resin figures, pre-painted ones of course. So the question over here is, are these figures legal? Like, are they considered as counterfeit or bootleg figures? This is where some of you guys out there have a conflict of opinions, like you guys disagree with each other. Some of you say that they are bootlegs. The others say that they are not bootlegs, they are just, third-party stuff. Just like you have first-party stuff coming from the original license holder, and anything else that is not made by the original license holder is considered as third-party. Fair enough. Okay, so how do you define bootleg and genuine figures in the first place, right? Genuine figures are figures which are actually licensed from the copyright holders. For example, Kadokawa owns the copyright to the Konosuba franchise, and I own a figure company. I want to make figures of Megumin, Aqua, and so on. Then I paid some licensing fees, royalties to Kadokawa so that they let me produce figures of these characters which they hold the rights on and sell them for profit. Yeah, that is what genuine figures are. Basically, they are licensed. Genuine figures are not determined by whether the quality is good or bad. They are determined by whether the figure are licensed from the rights holder or not. Any cheap knockoff of the same exact figure which are being produced by a genuine figure manufacturer, yeah, that is a bootleg. For example, Good Smile has this figure, and then a third-party company, they make the same exact figure with a lower cost and lower quality, like same exact figure, the same sculpt. That is a bootleg. However, if a third-party company decides to make a figure of the very same character but they have their own sculpt, it is not a direct copy, then technically it isn't exactly a bootleg, just that it is an unlicensed product. For example, you attend an anime convention, a Comic Con event, and so on. You see artists selling fan arts of their favorite anime and game characters as drawings, as prints, as photographs, and so on. Yeah, this is technically a gray area. The characters that they are selling, these characters already exist in existing Japanese media, for example, and there is copyright on them. But at the same time, they are derivatives of the original content. Think of it as fair use. In US, I heard that there is this thing called fair use, where you're allowed to make derivatives of the original content, something like that. So most of the time, the copyright holders of these characters, this franchise, they turn a blind eye. They let you guys, the fans, sell your own fan art and your own derivatives because it actually helps them. You make their stuff more popular by increasing the exposure to their content, to their original franchise. So it is not necessarily a bad thing to support or even allow artists, third-party artists, to make derivatives of your own work because it increases exposure. However, not every company think of the same way as I do or as these more lenient companies do. For example, Star Wars. You see, most of us toy photographers, we can sell our own photographs, no problem, but the copyright owners of Star Wars will actually come at you. They will give you a cease and desist letter telling you to stop selling whatever you just made, even though you are the author of your own photographs, your own toy photographs, you have the rights to, but they'll tell you, I own the rights to these characters, you can't sell them. So this is more of a gray area where some companies are more lenient, some are stricter. Even for tokusatsu things like Ultraman, you can't even cosplay their characters in anime conventions. You actually get into trouble. You cannot cosplay Ultraman, yes. So if you were to ask me, are third-party unlicensed figures legal? There is no correct answer to this question because every copyright holder, they have their own views on this matter. It is a gray area. However, if you were to ask me, are these figures also the same as bootlegs? No, not at all. Bootlegs, like I said earlier, they are exact copies of existing products, existing sculptures. They are cheap copies, right? And they are low quality cheap copies. Those are bootlegs. Third-party figures, the sculpt is more than often original. Like for example, there is a 3D artist, they do their own 3D modeling and then they just decided to start a company and mass produce these 3D models as actual products. It is an original sculpt. So technically, if the sculpt is an original one, it is not a bootleg at all. However, recast resin figures, they are definitely bootlegs. For example, in Wonder Festival, there is a limited edition of this garage kit. There are 300 units only. And then you purchase it and then you make replicas, you duplicate it and sell it as cheap copies. Yes, that is a bootleg. Recast garage kits, they are bootlegs. There are actually high quality bootlegs out there, as I have demonstrated in one of my old videos on this channel, and there are also low quality genuine figures. And finally, the main reason why I'm bringing up this topic of unlicensed anime figures into this video is because, yes, I've just purchased my first third-party resin figure. It is right there on the floor. I've not opened it yet. Just arrived today, in fact. And this might be one of my most costly life mistakes as an anime figure collector. Yeah. You see, the reason why until today I've not purchased any resin third-party figures is because I don't trust the companies behind these figures. You see, there has been too many examples of broken promises, false promises, where the final product does not look like what was being promised in the official product photos. Basically, a lot of third-party figure companies, they are pulling off a Griffin enterprise. They show you a very nice official product photo and then the final product isn't even half as good. So the thing with trust, it is very difficult to build trust with customers. You need years to build a reputation for yourself, but you will lose it very quickly by just lying to your customers even for once. And too many third-party resin figure companies, they are doing this, not being honest with their customers. The thing with these resin figures, right? When you make a pre-order, unlike Japanese anime figures, the genuine ones, you need to place a deposit. And after the figures are finally being released, yeah, that deposit is never refundable. So if the figure turns out to be bad, you have two options. Both are not good options. Number one is to cancel the pre-order and lose your deposit money. Or you keep the order, you pay for it, and then you suck it up and just keep the figures, display it somewhere, and hopefully you won't be reminded of that bad figure too much. So either way, the problem with these third-party resin figure companies is that most of the time the customer always loses. I find this practice of taking deposits and making them not refundable to be unacceptable, especially when you deliver bad products. But there's barely any consumer protection for anything coming out of China nowadays. So what can we do, right? Okay, so I'm actually going to do an unboxing and review in my next video, not to this video. This is getting a bit too lengthy, but at least I can afford to give you guys a sneak peek on what is the content of this parcel right here. Alright, So you'll see this just came in from China actually. So we are going to open up the outermost layer of the parcel and see what is the contents, right? Yes, we have a figure of Marin Kitagawa from that cosplay anime. I forgot the title already. So I'm going to take a sneak peek inside here, and if we are already looking at the figure directly, then everything else will be reserved for the next video coming up next week. Alright, this is a nice box. Marin Kitagawa. This is actually the same exact figure but different version. One that I can't really show on screen because you already know why. We love our pink color slits in anime figures, don't we? And here we go, a second unit. So you see from the front of the box, the face expression is different. This is a safe for work version and this is a not safe for work version. So in my next video next week, we are going to unbox and review the safe for work version. Unfortunately, I can't put the X-rated one on YouTube for very obvious reasons, but maybe I'll come up with another link which you guys can refer to the photographs I uploaded in that link. At the end of today's video, if you have never purchased a third-party resin figure before, unlicensed figures, are you willing to take the risk of purchasing one? I mean, these things, they are not cheap. They cost pretty much the same as genuine licensed figures. So are you willing to take the risk? Because the figures could turn out to be really bad. And if they do, you can't really do anything about it. Yeah, so this is why these two figures over here might be my most expensive life mistake as an anime figure collector yet. Probably. We'll see in the next video next week. Until then, thank you very much for watching and see you guys again very soon. Goodbye.